Hi guys, this is Lavanya Lakshminarayanan reporting from the DY Patil Stadium in Navi Mumbai, where India has just won its maiden senior ODI World Cup trophy. Of course, this is the first piece of ICC silverware for the India senior women, given that the under-19 team has already won 2 world titles. Right behind me, if you can look at that little smidge of blue, you'll see the Indian team, after finishing all of its media responsibilities, has just come out there to soak the win in. I think the fielding medal was given out. We heard chanting for Aman, but you will find out later on the BCCI portal who's actually taken that fielding medal. It's been a very, very testing campaign for the women in blue. They, of course, had a run of victories followed by a run of key defeats to all 3 teams that made the semi-finals. And then they came into the semi-final, beat Australia in that thrilling match right here, and also had a clinical finish in the final against South Africa. Now, of course, there's a lot of analysis that's going to be around for this game, where the game was won and lost. But at the end of a historic night like this, the matchups or where the match turned, these are not the things that you remember. What you do remember is the 39,000 odd people who were here at the DY Patil Stadium. What you do remember is Harman and Smriti hugging each other for such a long time. What you do remember is Mithali and Julan being called in to take part in the celebrations here. What you do remember is, and I'm standing right in front of the crowd which was just chanting for these girls constantly, what you remember is that going on well past midnight, well past the match finishing. What you remember is Laura Woolward, the opposition captain, being given a standing ovation, not just for her century, but also for her speech after that defeat. It's been a great World Cup in the sense we've had a lot of characters from different teams step up and really take their teams across the line. India itself did not have a perfect campaign. They had multiple losses that really made them question the character of where their campaign is headed. But over the last couple of days, Harmanpreet has spoken about the team constantly looking at the big picture, constantly looking at the fact that the goal was always going to be the finish line. It was always going to be winning that ICC trophy and not thinking about any of the small losses that came in the way. And to be honest, just the kind of media interactions that they've done, all of the stuff that they've spoken to the reporters about, all of that really sums up that emotion, that it was always going to be about that trophy and not any of the obstacles that come in the way. We had different players of the Indian team stepping up to really guide this side to that final, to that trophy, to the extent that even when Harman came in for her post-match press conference, she couldn't believe that she was actually finally touching that trophy. We were sitting in that media box and a lot of reporters were there. It was a packed house for a change. Usually happens in India games, but it was more packed than usual, and she called all the female reporters, asked them to come forward and asked them to take a picture with the trophy. A lot of us didn't make it because it was really crowded in that room, but that just tells you how important something like this is, how important a win like this is. She spoke a lot about balance, about centering herself in between a very difficult campaign that saw this exact side go through a lot of misogynistic criticism, trolling. A lot of that came their way, but they've sort of coasted through everything: injuries, lack of form, figuring out combinations, and really tough opponents to get there and win their first ever ICC trophy. On Sportstar, we're going to have a lot of follow-up for whatever's happened in this match, whatever's happened in the tournament, the best performers, who did good, who did bad, what happens to teams that didn't really perform to their potential. All of that is going to follow. But for now, much like the other 1.4 billion people who are going to savor this win, like perhaps how much ever the population was in 1983 savored that win, just soak in the victory. It's something that's going, hopefully will change things for the ecosystem. It'll just build on all of the developments that we've seen over the last 3-4 years, ever since the WPL has come about, ever since pay parity has come about in international match fees. And there is so much more to build on. Hopefully this sort of kicks off that grassroots revolution a little more to get girls to play cricket, to go out and play any kind of sport, which is what these girls, what the South Africans also want to see, not just here but also in their home countries. Right now it's been a very, very long day. I'm recording this at I think 2:15, so I think I'm done for the day. I hope you all enjoyed our coverage of the Women's ODI World Cup. A lot more of the follow-up will continue, so please continue to support our work and check out whatever it is that we put out on our channels. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video.